Good evening and welcome to the 621st episode of Travel Itch. I'm Dan Schlossberg and we are in the 15th season of Travel Itch Radio, the show that lets you enjoy the pleasures of travel from the comfort of your armchair. Every week at this time, we talk to people representing destinations, hotels, airlines, railroads, car rental companies, and others in the world of travel and hospitality, from authors and bloggers to broadcasters and publicists. If it's got anything to do with travel, it's got everything to do with Travel Itch. Our guest tonight is my longtime friend, Melody Pittman, a prolific travel journalist and longtime friend. Welcome, Melody, to Travel Itch Radio.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And we're glad to have you. Melody, you're one of the most well-traveled people I know. You even have an annual travel conference. Tell our viewers about that, please.
I do. It's so exciting. I started this project with my daughter, and now both daughters come and help, but they've kind of backed away. So I'm kind of a one-woman show. So this year will be our 7th year. We are in Louisiana River parishes. We have 71 travel professionals, around 55 content creators, and 16, 17 CVBs from all over the country, 27 states represented. And we just come for networking and really to develop like a family style vibe. We do sightseeing and educational sessions and have a whole lot of fun.
Well, this is January, a time when many people from the Northeast head to Florida as snowbirds or short-term guests. You know Florida well, and I know you're moving to St. Augustine. And with baseball spring training starting next month, so do I, actually. Tell us about your travels there, especially to St. Augustine, Jacksonville, and Vero Beach.
Yeah, sure. I lived in Vero Beach for 10 years, and then I moved away to Nevada for 4, was a full-time RVer for a year. And now I'm headed back to the St. Augustine, Jacksonville area. I have a daughter that lives in each location. And I knew a lot about St. Augustine. I'd traveled a lot here, but I really stayed away from Jacksonville because of that traffic. But I'm loving Jacksonville. Like Jacksonville is really on the verge of greatness. And they're cleaning up some areas that need it, developing neighborhoods all over, incredible housing options, just a lot going on. So I'm like all caught up in the Jacksonville vibe. St. Augustine, I think I know a little bit too well. It's always fun, and there's people from all over the world there every day. So that's really cool. I'm 15 minutes from the historic downtown. But like they just need a cleanup. Like the city's just dirty. The streets just need repair. And I know it's a historic city, but it just needs some love. But I'm really loving being back in Florida.
Well, you've written about Las Vegas, Carson City, and Mesquite. What's your favorite?
Well, I lived in Mesquite, which is in Clark County, which is also Las Vegas. And I'm a gambler, so I love both of those areas a whole lot. And living there is so different because I had traveled to Las Vegas many times. That was one of my husband and my favorite vacation destinations. But living there, Las Vegas is like just a big community. Lots of love there, lots of people helping people. The news is very optimistic and just showcasing like really good things. I don't know, it's a different way of life, but lots of really small community things going on, building playgrounds, news stations going to the grocery store and just handing out gift cards. Just lots of like real love there. And I loved living in the desert. It was fantastic. So love that. Reno's great, great gambling, a waterfall through the town. Carson City, the capital, they have Mineral Springs, a really great train ride up to Virginia City. And then the Carson Valley, a whole other area. Have you been to the Carson Valley?
Yeah, that's a steam train, by the way, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But Carson Valley, right beside Carson City, is comprised of Genoa, Minden, Gardnerville. If you haven't been to that area, I highly recommend it. That is I think that's probably one of the coolest areas to discover in the whole United States. Loved it.
And talking about trains, where is this?
Yeah, that's at the Museum of Art and Sciences in Daytona Beach. It actually closes. It's actually a Smithsonian affiliate, but it's closing at the end, I think, of March, and it is going to become the Brown. The Brown, I think, which is named for Hyatt and Cece Brown, who have an art museum on the same property or the same campus. And it is going to be a highbrow, really beautiful museum. So I'm super excited for that.
And talking about museums, we both love the architecture of Frank Lloyd Wright. Talk about some of his properties in Florida, Arizona, Iowa, and Wisconsin. It seems the guy left his mark everywhere.
Yeah, I think he did. So I just fell in love with Frank Lloyd Wright a few years ago. And one of my first conquests in the Frank Lloyd Wright travel was in Mason City, Iowa. That's where one of my besties lives. And there is a hotel, the Historic Park Inn, that Frank Lloyd Wright did. And it was on the chopping block. So some organization, foundation, whatever, got together, bought the property for $1, restored it to its grandeur, and I got to stay in the most prominent hotel room on a corner with the beautiful Frank Lloyd Wright windows where the glass meets on the corners, a huge bathroom. The bathroom is as big as my house, with heated floors. I got to stay in that hotel by myself. Nobody else except the front door person. And this was like in the dead of winter. It was my first time seeing a frozen lake when I was up there, Clear Lake next door. So that was kind of like what got me hooked on Frank Lloyd Wright. And since then, I went to Taliesin West in Arizona, Taliesin in Wisconsin, and then in Central Florida. One of the coolest things in Lakeland in Central Florida, you have the Florida Southern College, which it's the largest single site collection of Wright architecture in the world. They have 13 structures and that beautiful church. And they actually just opened an architecture school. How cool is that to go along with this famous architecture there? It just opened in the fall.
That's great. And I know that you mentioned you love gambling. You visited more casinos than states, 55 in 2024 and 49 in 2025. Please share.
Don't judge me. So I'm a gambler for probably 35 years. I love slots. Like that's my game. And my husband and I have gotten so smart since we lived in Nevada. We have so many players cards, and we get probably between the two of us at least 30 nights free in Vegas and Mesquite where we live, a month. That's a month. So in Vegas, you still have to pay that fee, the like resort fee, $20, $30, $40, $50, depending on where you're staying. But we got so many free meals and so many just great perks. So we're way ahead as far as what we put in versus what we get out. And then my husband won a really big jackpot. So that was great. And I've only gotten a hand payout, which if you're not familiar, that's over $1,200. I've only gotten a hand payout once since I lived there. But what I've learned has just been fantastic. And I go all over the country. So I try to visit like any good casinos, not necessarily like little tiny ones, but if they're like MGM properties or like any of the big groups, Sam's Town, Bally's, any of those, love it. Southern Mississippi has a lot of casinos, maybe 35. And my daughter lived there for a long time. So I got to know all of those casinos really well too.
And I'm based in northern New Jersey. Atlantic City is not that far away. Have you been there?
I have. I went there. I used to take my daughters to New York City a lot. And once, just one daughter was with me, and I think we were there for spring break, and we took our dog, and we decided we didn't want to go home. I lived in Charleston, West Virginia at this time. So we went over to New Jersey, and you might remember this. Do you remember when they developed the Revel Casino? It was right beside like Trump Tower. So the Revel was a state-of-the-art. It was one of the coolest casinos probably in the world at that time. Had the 3D gaming system and everything. And so my daughter and I were there for the soft opening of that, which was really cool. And it's since went belly up because, Atlantic City went through some struggles there. But yeah, I loved Atlantic City.
Well, we're both animal lovers too, Melody. I've had dogs, cats, and sometimes both. And I know pets are social and hate to be without their owners. So tell us about the best places for pet-friendly travel. I even took my dog on auto train.
Oh, that's so cool. I'd love to do that. I might think about doing that one. So living in Nevada is not pet friendly. It is one of the worst places ever. Like it's so hot, your dog's feet can't touch the ground for months of the year, and the casinos are not very friendly. But we have a King Charles Cavalier. He's 15 pounds. We got him as a puppy with some casino winnings, and we would put him in a dog stroller. So there's a term for that, little stroller dogs. So we would put him in the stroller and just take him to casinos, and nobody ever said anything to us. Well, because we went to certain casinos a lot, and he's so well behaved in his little stroller, a lot of restaurants would let us just come in and push him like in a corner at our table and eat with him there. But as far as like pet friendly goes, Jekyll Island was great. We were just there recently. It was really pet friendly. St. Augustine is great. You'll see so many pets there. And also, are you familiar with Fernandina Beach up at Amelia Island? That's another like great pet friendly place. But Florida is very hit or miss. Now, my daughter did a road trip up through New England and New Hampshire and Vermont. I haven't been to those places with a dog, but I hear they're just the primo spots.
And speaking of animals, happy Groundhog Day in advance. It's almost here.
Yeah, exactly. I just got a couple press releases about it this week.
Okay, and how about multi-generational travel? I know from personal experience that can be as stressful as traveling with animals. And I hear you just completed a multi-generational trek to Jekyll Island. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I did. So let me just say, My family's very weird. We love being together, and it has been nothing for the past 10 years for me to stay with one of my daughters, the one that I have a grand that is the mother of the grandchild. I mean, I'm at her house, which she lived in Mississippi until recently, probably 68 days a year. So our family just likes being together. We play a lot of games, we go to a lot of restaurants, museums, national parks, so forth. But on this particular trip, it was just me and a daughter and a granddaughter. Everybody else was working. We went for the Holly Jolly Jekyll event. And while we've been to St. Simon's Island a lot, we had not been to Jekyll Island to stay. So we went there and it was great. We had the dog too. So we were really pushing the envelope. But it's a really family friendly place. Lots of like bike riding and Driftwood Beach, bird watching. The Georgia Sea Turtle Center is there. So we try to make sure that we have things for the granddaughter as well as for us. And I'm a big advocate for staying in casinos. My granddaughter, she's 7. She knows every hotel on the strip, what's good about them, what the arcades are like, the pools, and so forth, because the casino is the best place to stay because if you're a gambler, you gamble alone. So like mom can go gamble in the casino, dad can stay with the kid and vice versa, come and switch. Plenty of family fun, outside of the casino floor. So we love to go on multi-gen casino visits.
Well, you also did a week at a place I never heard of, Orange Beach, Alabama. Where is it? What is it? And is it truly off the beaten path?
Well, let's see. For you in New Jersey, it's definitely off the beaten path. But if you're a Southerner, you probably know Alabama does have beaches. A lot of people don't know that, like coastal Mississippi, Biloxi, Ocean Springs, so forth. So Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, they're kind of used interchangeably. We've been going there for about 6 years, and we love it. One of my daughters went to Ole Miss, and people who live in Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, of course, that's where they go to the beach. So I knew all about it, but I had not been until about 6 years ago. I've now been probably 10 times, and I actually had a travel conference there. That was one of the places we hosted our travel conference. So, I mean, it's fantastic. It's mostly condos. I'm going to say there are a lot more hotels now than there used to be, but a lot of like big family condos. It's definitely a family place, but you also have like the Floribama down there. So one of the coolest bars in America. So amazing food, lots of nature, like really beautiful beaches, white sugar sand beaches. And one of the coolest things, I don't know if you like sandcastles, but they have this business called Sandcastle University. This young girl started the business and she's booming. Like you go learn how to make a sandcastle and you don't forget, like once she teaches you these things, you're building like amazing sandcastles everywhere you go. So that's really fun. And the home of the bushwhacker. Have you ever had a bushwhacker? I'm sure you have at some point in your life. Yeah.
Yep. And when you're talking about beautiful scenery,
Oh
I
yeah.
love cherry blossoms in Washington. That's coming up pretty soon too. Have you been
Nice.
to that?
I have not been to Washington, but I was hired as an influencer in Macon. They have the third largest international cherry blossom festival in the country. So that one was cool. They have like 10 days of events, and I think they have 3,000 trees or something. So a lot. It was super fun.
Also, Melody, I'm a huge fan of the TV show Yellowstone and, of course, the great national park itself. What's
Yes.
the best way to really experience it?
I've only been to Yellowstone a couple of times, but I did watch the show. So, the West Yellowstone is the most popular entrance. That's the one that I always choose because you're close to Old Faithful and the Grand Prismatic Spring. So, with any national park that's busy, I always say arrive before 7 a.m. That's always the best tip. And then, depending on which national park you're in, pack some food. So, my friend Sarah and I did that park during the pandemic. We just took a big road trip out west and went to 10 national parks, 10 national parks in 9 states. And Yellowstone was one. This was like in August of 2020. We took peanut butter, jelly, a cooler with drinks, and some bread. And you just pull over and make yourself a sandwich, have some snacks or something. So you can like be there for the whole day, like bring everything you need. So another just great tip, bring everything you need.
But don't feed the buffalo.
Absolutely. Just admire them. That's one of my favorite animals. So yeah.
Okay, not far from there is the new Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library Museum opening this year. Can you give
Yes.
us a preview? I love the show Elkhorn about TR's time in the Dakota Badlands in 1880s.
Okay. So here's what I know about the Presidential Library. So have you been to the national park there by any chance?
No, not yet.
Okay, so Medora is the home to the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and it is a very great park. If you love animals, you're always going to see bison and things at Yellowstone, but you're going to see without basically any traffic, you're going to see as many bison at Theodore Roosevelt, plus like 9 million prairie dogs, lots of wild horses, and you can like get a pizza in town, sit at a picnic table, and the bison will literally just walk around you. I mean, you're in submerged in nature. So the library is in the town of Medora. And my friend Sarah goes to Medora all the time. Sarah, she's travelwithsarah.com. She has had two hard hat tours of the museum, and it is going to be state of the art, just absolutely amazing. You know, Theodore Roosevelt will be so proud of what they're doing there. But I wanted to give you a little fun fact that you might not know. So the town of Medora just blew me away, and I had to go there to experience to be able to speak it into words. So there's a man named Harold Schaefer. In 1961, he had one of the biggest companies probably in America called the Gold Seal Company. He created household products. He also created a little product I used to use as a kid called Mr. Bubble Bath. So he made a lot of money and he left an endowment to run the town of Medora. So Medora is like it's a little village in Medora. It's a little village with a hotel, some shops, an outdoor musical that's a long running outdoor musical called I think it's called the Medora Musical. And the national park is steps from the town, and then the presidential library is in the town. There's also like a Western museum. I think it's the Cowboys National Cowboys Museum or something. And there's someone dressed like Theodore Roosevelt all the time out roaming the streets. You've seen him at IPW. He was at IPW this year in Chicago. So but it's just a funky little town that's just so freaking cute. And so I'm so excited. And the library is opening on July 4th. So.
And speaking of national parks, you and I have both been to a few. Yours include Zion, Bryce, the Grand Canyon, Joshua Tree, Crater Lake, Death Valley, the Dry Tortugas, Big Bend, Yellowstone you mentioned, and of course, the new Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Any favorites?
Well, I've been to 29 national parks right now. Um, I want to say Big Bend and Dry Tortugas were always my favorites. Then I moved to Nevada, and Big Bend doesn't seem all that great anymore because it's literally like kind of where I lived. And then all the Utah parks, I have that same beauty pretty much where I lived in Mesquite. So for me, it's Glacier. There is nothing in this country like Glacier National Park. I mean, if you go to going to the Sun Road from the top of that, even to the bottom where the rocks are kind of colored, where you can like kayak down there at the bottom of the village, I just love like every single thing about Glacier. It is a really special place. How about you?
I agree with you on Glacier. It's a little known national park. I think it's certainly not comparable to Yellowstone.
Right,
But,
right.
it's great. And those red coaches, is that Glacier? Am I
Yeah, yeah.
remember correct?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so
Yeah,
too.
yeah. It was amazing.
And we might cross paths during baseball spring training in March since you're moving back to Florida
I sure
and
hope so.
in some games. Best time of the year for me.
Yes, so I lived in Florida for 10 years in Vero Beach, as I said, and I love this coast because I like the teams that practice on the Atlantic coast of Florida. But I will say that's our rite of passage for spring. So when I lived in West Virginia, it's like getting tulips, all those flowers or whatever. And when I lived in Nevada, I don't even think we even knew, spring was here. So because the season's going to run together there. In Florida, spring baseball, that means springtime is here and we're good to go.
Well, Fort Lauderdale doesn't have a team anymore, but it's close to the Palm Beaches where there are three.
Yes.
And I know you're looking forward to seeing how Fort Lauderdale has changed over time. It's going to play host for IPW this year, so we'll both be there. What can I expect when I go?
I will say my Fort Lauderdale posts on my blog, wherever I may roam blog.com, those are some of my top producing, like that's the top page views for my articles. I don't know why, like I've been to Fort Lauderdale, probably 2 dozen times, but for whatever reason, people love those blog posts. So just a rundown of things that could be on our IPW agenda. There's like Sawgrass Mills, 350 stores. Like that's such a huge outlet store. And pretty much, I think all of Central America go there to shop. The Hollywood, which is just a neighborhood, they have all the great murals and art galleries. They have a broad walk as opposed to like a boardwalk that's really fantastic. All kinds of cool things you can rent to like ride along it. They have Butterfly World, the Florida Panthers. That's where, of course, the hockey team is. Flamingo Gardens, the Ann Cold Nature Center. Lauderdale by the Sea is a really cute little area. airboat course rides at the Everglades. I'm sure the Everglades will play a factor in our conference. But anyway, it's going to be exciting.
And there's a restaurant called Michael's 15th Street Fisheries. I love that place.
Yeah, that I have that in my notes right here. That's one of my favorite places to eat. Yeah.
Okay, we agree.
But if you like Mexican food, you got to go to Rocco's Tacos, and we have those all over Florida. But man, Rocco's Tacos is so delicious.
Good name. Good name. Okay, I want to tell our viewers you're listening to Travel Edge Radio with Dan Schlossberg. Find the archive show on YouTube, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, X, and Facebook. And we're talking with travel journalist and longtime friend Melody Pittman. Melody, in addition to your expertise on casinos, you're something of a theme park maven.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what's new at Disney World, SeaWorld Orlando, Busch Gardens Tampa? How about Universal and so many others? Any
Yeah.
favorites?
So, I mean, I love them all. Truly, I love them all. I've been a Disney pass holder for probably 10 years. So we go to all those parks. Disney, it's like a love-hate relationship with Disney. They do so many great things, but then they have rides down and they're doing construction and they never discount the price of the tickets. So that's kind of a bummer. SeaWorld is one of my new favorite parks. I went for the first time when IPW was in Orlando. Then I went to the one in San Antonio. And then I've been back to the one here in Florida. They do a fantastic job. And SeaWorld and Busch Gardens are owned by the same company. So they both have like all those food festivals like Disney does. And it's much, much, much cheaper. They also have lots of great concerts. In fact, I just got the SeaWorld concert list for their springtime. I don't know the name of it. I think it's Seven Seas, something or another. And I mean, the musicians are great. So I plan on going there a few times. If you like rides, I love rides. So Busch Gardens is definitely where to go. And if you go in January or February, you can ride roller coaster after roller coaster without ever waiting in line. So that's cool. And as far as Universal goes, I haven't been to Universal in probably 4 years. Epic Universe opened. I haven't been there yet. We wanted to take the family for Christmas and they didn't want to go. They just didn't really care. So maybe sometime soon I'll make it to Universal so I can see how that goes. But I really like Universal. Less crowd than Disney. I think a better bang for your buck than Disney. But it's still Disney. So there's all that fun.
And talking about national parks, this is the 250th anniversary of the United States.
Yeah.
And Independence National Park in Philadelphia. This is the Betsy Ross House.
Oh,
that is one that really should be experienced. And the All-Star Game is going to be in Philadelphia too. So it's a really big deal.
Oh, that's going to be nice. Yeah, I haven't been to Philly. We were just watching something on TV the other night. There was an ad for Philadelphia, and I took my kids when they were really young. But as an adult, and especially as a travel blogger, I have not been to Philadelphia at all. I had to fly in there for a conference this year, but I was just there, and a friend picked me up. So I didn't even get to go see the Rocky statue. Like, I'm such a Rocky fan, so that was a bummer.
And if you do go to Philly, you got to ride the ducks.
That sounds fun. I would love that. I like that cheesy stuff.
That's an amphibious tour. It's half in water and half on land.
Yeah, I've done that in Oregon, in Portland.
Yeah, I did that in Boston. It's all over the place.
Oh, no, I didn't do it in Portland. Not Portland. I did it in Seattle.
It's great.
Yes.
We have to mention RV travel. Didn't you just finish a whole year traveling around in an RV?
It was a couple of years ago. My husband and I sold our house. We had no experience with RV travel. We bought a fifth wheel and traveled the country for a year. We would have done it longer, but at that time, diesel was about $7.99 a gallon. That we were in Nevada at the time. That's how we ended up in Nevada. We just needed to put down roots because gas and diesel was so expensive. So that's where we planted, our feet for 4 years. But we did have an RV. We just sold it to our daughter a few months ago. We RV'd back across the country. I get to drive across the pass in Colorado. That was a thrill, let me tell you. Through the Eisenhower Tunnel, that area. That was really
very well.
Yeah, so I had a Ram 3500 dually, and that was kind of my dream car. And then I got to pull my RV with it, and I was a great driver. So I loved pulling the RV. And my husband and I had our very gender specific, his roles, her roles in doing it. So it was super fun. We saw a lot of the country, but RVing, besides buying your rig, I can stay in a hotel for almost the same price as what it is for an RV campground or for like a nice RV campground. So for us, it was just like, we just don't want to pay, or we want more flexibility in our travels. So now our daughter, like, there's lots of, if you want to live in an RV, there are great rates at RV parks, like you get monthly rates. So just to give you an example, in Florida, some of the RV parks for snowbirds are $4,300 a month because they're only coming for a few months. But if you live there full time, it's $1,400. So yeah, RVing is expensive, but we saw some amazing things. Probably our favorite place to RV was New Mexico. Loved that.
And people listening to this or watching this probably think you're always on the run, but not really, because here you are relaxing on a swing. Where is this?
Well, that's in West Virginia. And I was really busy at that moment. So I'm from West Virginia and I wrote a book called 100 Things to Do in West Virginia Before You Die. It's part of a national book series through Reedy Press in St. Louis. So this I'm in West Virginia at this time. This was in the fall, doing a 2-week book tour. So I'm just signing books at different places around the state. This one was more library centric. I went to a lot of different libraries, but West Virginia did this tourism deal 2 years ago, and they started building these almost heaven swings. So this is in front of Tamarack, which is on I-77, I think. Whenever you're on the West Virginia Turnpike. So if you've gone from Florida, from your house to Florida, you've passed through West Virginia. A lot of people never stop, but if you're going to stop there. It's an absolute beautiful place to get out and stretch your legs. Amazing artwork there, and a great restaurant. They also have grab and go food and so forth. So,
And people might not remember, but the first two words of John Denver's song, West Virginia, are almost heaven.
oh yeah, and he had not even been in West Virginia when that song came out. But if I have a second to tell you, I've heard that song in 36 countries and probably 29 states. So it is very, like, nothing can make me cry more than hearing John Denver. And my family, we were in Barcelona when our kids were young. Nobody spoke any English, like, at all. And we're in a Starbucks so that my kids can use the bathroom. So I'm in line waiting to buy something. And here are all these people singing Here Comes Country Roads, like on the radio there. Everybody's in there that speaks Spanish singing Country Roads in English. I later learned that the Hermes House Band, which was a European, like, house band music, they redid that song. So that's why so many Europeans know Country Roads. So I thought that was so cool.
And since this is the 100th anniversary of historic Route 66, I'd love to hear about your trips through the great Midwest, especially Kansas, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and parts of Illinois. I know there are hundreds of memorable landmarks, Route 66, especially in Southern Illinois.
Yes, and while my trips have not been Route 66 specific in those areas, I do travel to those areas a lot and, hit or miss going to Route 66 spots. Most of my Route 66 has been Los Angeles, like Carl's or San Bernardino, like all of Gallup, New Mexico, and Arizona areas. But I'm just talked this week with two girlfriends, and we are going to do the whole Route 66, and we're going to fly into LA and then start the drive over to Chicago. So that's going to be super fun. We kind of like travel all at the same speed. We want to see it, but to stop and take some pictures where we want, and then we'll plan where we're going to spend the night, I guess. But anyway, I'm excited for that because I've never done it start to finish. But of course, anytime I can see anything on Route 66, I'm going to stop for that.
And I have another friend who's from West Virginia, very good friend, Mark Bowman, who covers the Braves for MLB.com, is from West Virginia.
Oh, really? Okay. What area?
I think Charleston, but I'm not positive.
Okay. That's where I was from. Yeah.
But he wrote a book called The Franchise about the Braves, came out last year. Pretty good.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And speaking of books, any books about you? I know you wrote that book about West Virginia.
Right.
West Virginia. Any others? How many books?
No, they've asked me to write some other books, but I live so far away from West Virginia. I didn't want to write another West Virginia book, but there could be a book in my future. I don't know yet, and I haven't signed a contract, but there could be a book in my future.
And how about your awards? I know you've won some.
I have very mixed thoughts about this. Most of the writers organizations, you have to submit yourself and submit your work and pay a fee to join. And so, yes, you might win and all that sort of thing. But to me, that's not really an award because, like, nobody discovered it or anything. I nominated myself. That's not me. Like, I'm not into that. So have I won an award? I did win an award for my Facebook Live series, which was called The Good, the Bad, and the Pretty. That was through the Midwest Travel Network. But other than that, no awards. But I have really and truly, since I started this job 12 years ago with no experience, because I'm not trained in journalism or social media or communications or any of those things, I have worked with every brand I have ever wanted to work with, any brand I could dream of. And I do have a new Instagram Live show that just started this month called The Rome Report. It's a once a month show. So I'm anxious to see where that goes. But as far as any other awards, nope, not really.
And most of your travel is domestic. Have you been abroad too?
Yes. I've been to 49 countries. We actually own homes in Panama. We built a subdivision in Panama. So I've been to a bunch of countries. I love Eastern Europe. Like I absolutely love anywhere in Eastern Europe. That's just kind of my jam. My favorites were Russia and Istanbul, or my favorite cities were St. Petersburg and Istanbul. Until I traveled to Turkey, I really had not ever felt like I'd stepped out of my comfort zone, and I was so out of my comfort zone, and I loved that. So I've been to Turkey a few times and loved everything about it, and Greece. You can't go wrong with any kind of vacation in Greece, but I think a lot of people wait too late because Greece is not easy to get around in with the uneven, the bricks and so forth. So like I just hope that people that are listening, like live your best life now. Like don't wait. Don't wait.
Do you prefer traveling with a group, traveling alone, or some of each?
I think probably some of each. My dog and I are going on a road trip tomorrow. We're headed to Savannah. And since I'm moving back to Florida, and this is like a great location for doing road trips because you can be somewhere great in very short time. I think that we're probably the dog and I are going to do several little small trips, just a few days here and there, different places. Because when I lived in Vero Beach, I was 8 hours to get out of the state of Florida if I was going anywhere west, and 4 hours to get out of the state if I was going anywhere north. So I'm at a much better location now. And then I'm sure that the daughters and granddaughter, son-in-law, and I will be going to New England. I haven't spent much time in New England, and it's been a lot of years since I've done much travel there at all. So I really want to like spend some time there. Maybe you could show me around.
Oh, there's where you go. Fenway Park.
Oh, I love that. I have not been there, but my kids have. They love Boston. Absolutely. That's one of their favorites.
Well, also JetBlue Park in Florida looks like a little Fenway Park.
Oh, really? Where is that? What city is that in?
It's in Fort Myers. It looks
Okay.
just
I
like a
haven't been there.
miniature Fenway Park.
Okay.
We got to get there.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. What are your travel plans for 2026 besides the dog trip?
Yeah, so I'm going to Las Vegas next week, and then I have my conference. And one of my girlfriends, and I just booked a transatlantic cruise because I had so many great accumulated points with Carnival from gambling. We got this 14-day cruise for $350 each. Like it was amazing. And I've wanted to do a transatlantic cruise for probably 12 or 15 years. So I'm anxious to do that. It's just going a few places. I think we end up in Barcelona, but it goes to like Gibraltar and a few places I haven't been, southern Spain. I'm headed to Washington later in the year and most likely Delaware. And then, like I told you, hopefully that New England area. I want to get some discount cruises being here in Florida again. There's great discount cruises. I'm not a big fan of cruising the Caribbean though. Like I want a little bit more something to like wrap my mind around. Like I want to learn something. So I like more history as opposed to tropical islands. So anyway, hopefully there's going to be some good cruises in my life. And I've been on 54 or 55 cruises. I can't even keep them straight, but I want to cruise for like the cheapest amount of money I can. So, because I think that a lot of people are looking for a bargain with things being so expensive. And so that's going to be like one of my focuses this year. And then like casino travel, taking my family to some different casinos. So other than that, that's all I've got at the moment.
And Melody, when do you work? Do you ride on the road or do you wait till you get home?
I mostly do influencer stuff. So I do so much social media, which I do on the road. But when it comes to writing, unless I'm in my hotel room and like I have some time factored in for just like downtime, I mostly write like whenever I get home. So when I'm home, I'm really, really working.
Okay. How can our viewers get more information on what you're up to?
You can check out my blog, wherever I may roam, blog.com. It's a Metallica song with the word blog.com. You can follow me on any of my social channels. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those, wherever I may roam blog. Let me get that in there. Pinterest, like I've been big on Pinterest for about 12 years. Same thing. All of them are wherever I may roam blog.
And what's the dog's name?
Dexter. He thinks his name is Dexter Good Boy because he is such a good boy. He's a beautiful dog.
Okay. I saw his picture posted a little while ago. Our guest this evening on Travel Itch has been accomplished travel journalist Melody Pittman. Longtime friend and colleague. Always good to see you and talk to you. Thank you, Melody, for joining us on Travel Itch.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you in May or sooner at baseball.
That'll be great. See you in March.
Take care, Dan.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And listeners, don't forget to get your best baseball companion for the remainder of the postseason, which is kind of short now, just a month. It's my book, The New Baseball Bible, 480 pages for a little more than a sawbuck. Such a deal, an oversized, illustrated, unorthodox history of America's national pastime. It's both a bathroom book and a coffee table book. Read it backwards and still enjoy it. That's The New Baseball Bible with Shohei Ohtani on the cover. Get it from Amazon.com tonight. And that's it for this edition of Travel Itch. We're off next week because of IMM Travel Conference in New York, which I'm covering. We return January 29th, 2 weeks from today, with Jay Smith, owner-operator of Sports Travel and Tours, to talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame weekend and so much more. Now, this is Dan Schlossberg saying thank you for your time this time. Until next time, good night and be safe.